Hey, good afternoon. How are you? Let me see if I can fix this lighting. Hello to everyone out there. Hello to you watching me on replay. I wanted to share something that I just, I'm so lit up about understanding on a deeper level. And I think this is something that we all would benefit from. All of us who are, especially those building businesses, or let me see if I can fix this, those of us who want to go into business for ourselves, those of us who are in leadership positions, just how to know that you're going in the right direction. Leadership management is a big deal, big responsibility. And for years, I felt that I had not a clue as to whether or not I was going in the right direction or not. And even though I was and still continue to be a woman of very deep faith, that faith had to be developed. That understanding of who I am had to be developed. So what I want to share with you is just what I've learned along the way as to how to know that you're going in the right direction. Managing a team is no small feat. Building a business is absolutely no small feat. And like I've said earlier, hello out there. I can't see you. Wave and let me know who you are. Like I've said before, I have found entrepreneurship to be the biggest personal development program there is out there. And I've taken many courses, I've been to seminars. Nothing beats building a business and having people to rely on you for guidance and for direction, for income and everything. So how to know that you're going in the right direction? Well, I find that, it's when you're going in the wrong direction, there's this tightness inside of you. One of the things I want to say is I've had to learn that you don't have to look outside of yourself for your answers. Like I said at the top of the video, for years, I've been a person of faith, believe in prayer, still believe in prayer very powerfully. But I don't have to go outside and seek counsel for answers because the answers are within me. And here's how I know this to be true. I love to compare this to nature, an apple seed. An apple seed is not going to run around asking other people or other fruits what it's supposed to be in life. It's already full with potential. It already knows it's already, set up to become a beautiful tree. It's just a matter of it being in the proper environment so that it can be planted and then to grow and then blossom and then bear more fruit. So the same thing with us. We don't have to go outside of ourselves. Now, you see, I am someone, I've taken courses, I've spent thousands of dollars, my husband will tell you, on developing myself and understanding. And I'm here to tell you that, you don't need a whole lot of courses to really understand that the answer is already within you. I think where the focus ought to be is in developing our relationship with God through prayer and accessing our inner truth and being good with it. So there's one thing to access it, I find, but then there's another thing to actually own it. Like, for example, last week I shared a video where I told people I want to be wealthy. And I own that. And I'm making business decisions, and choices in life because I want to make sure I have something set aside, not just for me, but for my children, for my grandchildren, for my great-grand. So I'm thinking generationally. So in order for me to do that, I'm making decisions now to position myself that way. Hey, Shelly, how you doing, hon? And so I find that in owning it, you start to make decisions. But the thing about it is it's my truth, right? Like if it wasn't my truth, if it wasn't for me, I wouldn't desire it. If it wasn't for me to have more, to be more than what I am today, and just to be where I am, I would be fine with that. I wouldn't desire anymore. But because I desire more, because I know that I am made for more, I know that more is available for me. So it's just allowing myself to accept it. So I don't need someone outside to validate that for me, to validate that truth. What I need is a realization of that truth, and I need an acceptance of that truth. So in order for you to know that you're going the right direction, you have to accept, first you have to be aware of what is your truth. And once you become aware of it, then you got to get to a point where you don't judge it. Now, here's the part I find, this is the work, right? Where you don't judge it. Because the work is, if it's your truth and it hasn't come to pass yet, and it hasn't come to pass because you haven't allowed it. And you haven't allowed it because somewhere along the line, someone made it wrong. So going back to the example I said where I confessed openly that I desire to make more money. I desire to be wealthy because my goal is to have something for my generations to come, right? So it hasn't come to pass yet because I made it wrong. It wasn't right. It was against God. It wasn't for me. It was for somebody else. Whatever my beliefs were, they didn't allow me to take the steps that would help me to do that. You follow? So same thing with health. For people who on a deep level want to be healthier, but for whatever reason, they have not taken the steps to become healthier, it's because somewhere along the lines, they don't believe the best for themselves because they made it wrong. Somebody made it wrong somewhere and they believed it. So, we don't have to judge ourselves. First of all, we have to become aware of what we really want, what we authentically and sincerely and genuinely really want, because I have found that once we get to that space where we know deep down what we want and we're okay with it, we're now aligning ourselves with God because God made us. God put potential in us. We wouldn't desire things if it wasn't for us to have it. Like I don't desire to be a construction worker. So my work in this world is not to be a construction worker. I don't desire to be a piano teacher. My work in this world is not a piano teacher. I don't desire in this world to be the person that cleans the bathrooms at the circus. What a job. But there are people that do that, and they do that with grace and they do that with a lot of humility. Maybe that's what they're called to do. Maybe that's their contribution to the world. That's not mine. And so once I became okay with who I am and became okay with the desires that I had, the next step was to no longer judge them and allow for them to grow, allow for them to mature, allow for them to come forth. Because when I became a match for what it is I really wanted, those things started to come. Opportunities started to come. Ideas started to flow. And the same thing will happen for you. So how to know that you're going in the right direction? Does it line up with who you really are? Does it line up? For example, the work that you do. Does the work give you this kind of tight, constricted, kind of limited kind of feeling, like a no growth kind of feeling? Or does the work that you do give you a sense of limitless and potential and growth and expansion and bigness and more and just all this opportunity? That's how you know. If what you're doing today makes you feel tight, makes you feel constrained, makes you feel angry, makes you physically hunch over, give you headaches, tension, then I invite you to really investigate how you're spending your time. I like to tell people, listen, tomorrow's promised to no one. All of us here on this planet, we're vapor, we're energy in a body. Once God calls us, that's it. And none of us knows when that is. So why not make the best of our time becoming, doing, and having what God would have us to do while we're here? So if you're in a situation where you're feeling kind of tight, feeling kind of constrained, feeling kind of, I don't know, then I invite you to pay attention to that feeling and choose something different for yourself. Allow yourself to feel into that. I have learned that this opportunity for us to walk and for us to grow, in order for us to really become the people we're called to become, we gotta be okay with who we are. So can I get a hello on some higher self-love here? We gotta be okay with embracing who we are. We gotta be okay with embracing our potential. We have to let go of the old stories that were given to us. We have to let go of the old beliefs that were passed on to us by loved ones. They meant well. They gave us and they did for us the best that they could with what they had. No one meant to hurt us, okay? So we don't have to hold anyone hostage emotionally for where we are today, but we do need to take responsibility for the choices we've made up until now and then walk in wisdom moving forward. So for me, wisdom has taught me certain things that I need to do on a regular basis, and that's just to check in. No is a complete sentence. If I can't do something and it's a no, that's okay. It's just okay. It can be a no. When you're in decision-making mode for your life, especially if you're in some type of leadership role. You're a mom, you're a grandmom, you're a manager, you're a business owner, and people are depending upon you, with your decision making. Learn to be okay with checking in. Learn that you don't have to make a snap decision. And if it's a situation where you have to make a quick decision, be okay with going with what your gut tells you rather than going with what logic tells you. Because I have found that the mind doesn't always lead me to where my best is. The mind will lead me to where I was trained to go, but it wouldn't necessarily lead me to where I'm called to go. Those are sometimes two different places. And so where I'm called to go is where I feel complete, where I feel ease, and where I feel like, okay, I can do this. I might feel fear, because if it's something new, I might feel fear. That's okay. But fear, I can feel fear and still move forward anyway. Right? So making the right decision for your life at any given time requires you checking within and not relying on external. You could look at external, it can be feedback, you can see it, okay. But the true answer, the true response, the true victory comes from you going deep within and allowing the answer to come forth from inside of you. That's where you're going to get your breakthrough. That's where you're going to get your understanding of where to go and what to do next. This is powerful decision making. So you might be saying, okay, Monique, well, what are some things I can do to start moving myself in that direction? Because the society, it doesn't teach us to do that, and I get that. So I'll give you one of the tools that I use on a regular basis to kind of help me. When I have to make a decision, the very first thing that I do is I say, okay, how does this feel? If I was to go with this, what would this feel like for me? And sometimes what that is for me, I may just go for it, and still feel into it. So what does this feel like for me? And then I don't make it wrong either way. Like, for example, I'm not the kind of person to run behind people, right? So I don't need to be doing the kind of work, whether it's building my business or working as an agent somewhere or even in a coaching. I refuse to run. I'm not running behind people to bless them. Like, I don't do that. Some people don't mind doing that. Some people have total joy. Me, I don't. If I have something that you like it and you've made your decision and you like it, we can work together. If you don't like it, that's fine too. Like, I'm not chasing people to bless them. Some people require that. That's not someone that works for me. So that's just an example of, I already know that about myself. So it takes greater self-awareness for you to make healthy decisions for yourself, and taking the time to learn what truly lights you up and what truly is a downer for you, what's an energy drain for you. So when I'm making decisions, I'm thinking about my energy, right? I'm thinking about, is this going to drain my energy? Like, is doing this thing, is maintaining this business and doing business with this business model going to drain my energy, or is it going to allow me to stay full? Because if it's going to drain my energy, if I have to be running behind people and chasing people to bless them, it is not for me. Doesn't mean it's not for someone else, but it's not for me. And so clearly that wouldn't be for me, right? So if that was presented for me as an opportunity, it would be an automatic no. No questions asked, it's a no. And that comes from knowing myself. So when you're just starting out and you're starting to allow yourself to feel into things, then give yourself an opportunity to be like that toddler trying to walk, right? To be like that young baby trying to walk. You're going to fall down, you're going to trip, it's not going to feel right. You're going to get used to, you're so used to the logic, you're going to flip into logical mode. I'm inviting you to tell yourself that it's okay, that I'm taken care of. Remind yourself that it's okay for you to make decisions, and there's no wrong. That's the other thing. There's absolutely no wrong. You are perfect just as you are. So there is no wrong. There's just learning. There's no wrong. There's just learning. There's no wrong. And when you get that inside of you, it kind of, when I understood that, huge sigh of relief. Because as a mom, as a wife, as a manager, and then now as a business owner, even as a coach, the temptation is to feel like, oh my gosh, if I don't do this 100% correct, whatever that is, I'm messing up for people. It's not that. Everyone's learning. We're all going through this human journey together. We're all learning. We're all here on some sort of an assignment. And I think a major part of our journey is understanding that assignment and then executing that assignment, right? If you stop and think about it, if you peel away all the layers, if you peel away all the jobs, if you peel away all the preconceived notions, if you peel away all of the limits that we put on ourselves, really our job is to plug into what our assignment is, learn what we came here to learn, and then share what we came here to share, whatever that is. And so I honestly believe sincerely from a loving perspective that if we just learn to be okay, that God's in control and he's already inside of us, the potential for our greatness is already in there, just like the potential for the apple is in the apple seed. But first it has to be planted into the ground, then it's got to sprout up, then it's got to become this big, beautiful tree, and then it blossoms and it sprouts out all these other apples. From one seed, you get a whole tree and you get an abundance of apples, you see? And so we are all apple seeds. We are all filled with potential. Our work is to ensure that we don't judge ourselves all day long. We don't make ourselves wrong. We allow ourselves to grow. We allow ourselves to flourish. We make quote unquote mistakes and learn, but we progress, right? We progress. So step by step, we progress, and we're not judging ourselves. We're just allowing ourselves to mature and love and be okay with who we are. And here's a secret I've learned. When you start to master right decision making for yourself, here's what happens. You give other people permission in your life to do the exact same thing, to no longer judge themselves, but to allow themselves to become who God's called them to become and move forward. You allow your kids to mature. You allow your spouse, your husband, your loved ones to grow. You allow your clients to grow. If you've got clients, you allow your friends to grow. I'm telling you, it's a ripple down. It's a trickling down. It becomes contagious because people don't like being judged, right? We don't. There's two things we humans do very well. We avoid pain and we go for pleasure. So I'll say that again. We avoid pain and we go for pleasure. So when you got a kid that doesn't want to listen to you, or if you've got a kid that doesn't want to pay attention to you, or they're just kind of rolling your eyes, please understand, if you are sounding like you're judging them, and if you are sounding like they are wrong, even if you think they are, it's only because you think they are. It doesn't mean that they are. And even if they could be corrected, if you're doing it from a place of judgment, they're not hearing that correction. All they're hearing, all they're feeling is that judgment. So as parents, we have to understand it is our responsibility to train them and raise them, but they're not ours. Okay? They are not ours. They are God's. We come into this world with nothing. We leave this world with nothing. So while we're here, we're stewards. And the more we steward, the more we allow people to become who they are and who God called them to be, the more you're going to see people flourish, the more you're going to see people walking into their greatness, the more you're going to see the world change around you because you allowed them to become who God's called them to become. And we don't get to decide what that is. Like, just because, a seed can become an apple, I didn't name that seed like apple seed. It just is an apple seed. I mean, Adam, they said biblically named them. Yes, but what I'm saying is if it's already an apple seed, I can't call it pear. I can't call it orange. It's going to be an apple tree one day, if planted and if nurtured. Making right decisions means trusting your inside because God's in you, allowing you to grow. It's getting out of the logic and going inward. So how do I do it? One thing I tell you that I do is I ask myself, what's this going to feel like? Stepping into this, what's this going to look like for me? And if I don't know, if I'm not sure, it feels right on the inside, I have peace, I move forward anyway. And guess what? If it turns up that it's not for me, that's okay too. I'm not wrong. I'm humble, I'm courageous, I'm bold, and I'm fearlessly leading. But I'm not wrong. You see? So my perspective is we get to define what things mean. If we make a decision and it doesn't yield the results we thought it was going to yield, it's not wrong. It was a lesson. Making right decisions means that you now change your relationship with yourself, how you see yourself, and no longer judge yourself, but allow yourself to grow and become that beautiful, influential person God's called you to become. And let go of the judgment, let go of the shoulds of what things should be, and just allow God to be in you and grow and watch things shift around you. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hey, Kennelly. Amen, beauty. Thank you, sweetheart. Grow and flow. Hey, listen, I love you guys, and I felt compelled to share that with you. If you love this video, go ahead and share it with folks. I'm on a mission to share with as many people as I can. You know any leaders, you know any managers, you know any people that are moving forward in life, up to big things in the world. Send them the video so they can be blessed and learn how to make decisions, get themselves off the judgment block, get themselves out of this tightness and constraints that we put ourselves under, and let's all blossom, let's all grow, and let's go influence the world together. All right? Bless you guys.